Operated by volunteers Bob Russell and Dennis Hoyt, car 1706 was built by the Toronto Railway Company in 1912 for the Toronto Railway Company. The car is considered to be a half convertible, where one side of the car had panels that could be removed for summer service. The car had a coal stove for heating during the winter months. The car was removed from service in 1925 and was converted into a rail grinder, where an abrasive block was mounted on the front truck frames between the wheels to smooth the surface of the rail. Car 1706 is 34 feet long, weighs 30,000 pounds or 15 tons. Operated by volunteer Frank Doherty, Connecticut Company 1602 was built in 1911 by the Wasson Manufacturing Company of Springfield, Massachusetts, and is one of the last all-wood streetcars constructed. It's a city car with seats along the side and a wide aisle with room for lots of standing passengers. Its top speed is not more than 25 miles per hour, which was sufficient for service on crowded city streets. For many years, this car was assigned to run from State Street in Hamden to Savin Rock in West Haven. To make it easy to clean out cars after amusement park crowds, a concrete floor was installed, which could easily be flushed out with a hose. Although the days of the standees in car 1602 are long gone, the car still serves our visitors as an amusement destination. Portable tables replace standees, and this car has served as a venue for hundreds of parties and special events at the museum. Car 1602 is 41 feet long, weighs 45,100 pounds or 22.5 tons, and seats 42 passengers. Operated by volunteer George Papaga, Connecticut Company car 1911 was built by the J.G. Brill Company of Philadelphia in 1919 with a steel undercarriage and side plates, but with ornate wooden window posts. Cars like this were used on suburban trolley lines throughout the state, and many remained in service in New Haven until the last streetcars ran in September 1948. And on March 8, 1947, at approximately 12:45 a.m., Sister Car 1901 was the last trolley car to service the community of Short Beach en route to New Haven. 1 year later, Sister Car 1902 was the last trolley car to run in New Haven, ending nearly 80 years of street railway service in the city. Both cars, 1901 and 1902, were scrapped. Car 1911 is 49 feet long, weighs 49,000 pounds or 24.5 tons, and seats 44 passengers. Operated by Tom Lawrenson, Connecticut Company car 2350 is an example of a Birney type safety car. Built in 1922 by the Osgood Bradley Company of Worcester, Mass., the car ran in Middletown until 1930. It was then transferred to New Haven, where it was used on several lightly traveled lines. Due to automobile competition, street railways began to lose passengers and revenue. In response, a small light car like this was designed to improve small motors, and a controller interlocked with the brakes to stop the car in the event of a mishap to the motorman. The safety car was supposed to generate savings because it used less power and was only operated by one person. Car 2350 is 28 feet long, weighs 16,300 pounds or 8.15 tons, and seats 32 passengers. Operated by volunteer Bill Dawkins, Car 500, the parlor car of the Connecticut Company, was built by the J.G. Brill Company of Philadelphia in 1904. It was built with open platforms at each end and was ordained with elaborate grille work. The ends were enclosed, and the car was lengthened around 1910. The car has inlaid oak woodwork, bevel-edged mirrors, intricate scroll work, and plate glass windows. Broadloom carpet wicker chairs, a galley kitchen, a drinking fountain, and a lavatory with stained glass windows combined to make this one of the most opulent vehicles to grace steel rails. Each year, Car 500 carried Connecticut Company officials on an extended 720-mile inspection trip over Connecticut's entire trolley system. Car 500 is 42 feet long, weighs 37,813 pounds, and seats 20 passengers.
Kind of like the Myrtle Avenue. Kind of like the Myrtle Avenue.
The hottest photo line I've ever been in.
Operated by volunteer Barry Zuckerman, Car 4573 was the museum's first Brooklyn car representing the largest trolley system in the United States. It's a four-motor convertible car running in its summer configuration here at the Shoreline Trolley Museum. The grills would come off the car and were replaced with full panels for cold weather operations. Built by the Laconia Car Company in 1906, it started its service on Flatbush Avenue and ran until 1934 when it was converted to a salt and sand car. In 1947, the car was selected by Branford. It was rare and well preserved as an example of this type of car. Car 4573 is 43 feet long, weighs 48,500 pounds, and seats 44 passengers. Operated by Walter Douglas, Car 629 is the most modern car in our regular fleet. Car 629 was home built by the 3rd Avenue Railway from pieces of older cars in 1939. It ran in Manhattan from 1939 until 1946, and in the Bronx from 1946 until 1948, before being sold for post-World War II operations in Vienna, Austria, as part of the Marshall Plan. And after being retired in the 1960s, the museum acquired the car in 1967, and it ran in our line for 3 years as Vienna 4239 before being restored to its original appearance as 3rd Avenue 629 in the 1970s. Car 629 seats 46 passengers.
Oh, here comes the subway. Here comes the A train.
Subway cars could operate independently or as part of a larger train with speeds up to 55 miles an hour. Shown today is an example of how cars could operate together as part of a train. Operated by volunteers Jimmy Harris and Thurston Clark, Car 1689 was built by the American Car and Foundry Company in 1940. There were nearly 1,700 of these types of cars built between 1932 and 1940. Car 5466 was built in 1924 by the American Car and Foundry Company. It's one of several thousand similar cars used on the RRT lines, New York City Board of Transportation, and the New York City Transit Authority from 1908 until 1964. Only 7 of these cars have been preserved. Known as the low V for a low voltage car, the design eliminated 600 volts passing through the motorman's controllers to operate the car. Car 1689 is 60 feet 6 inches long and weighs 84,396 pounds. It seats 56 people. And car 5466 is 51 feet long, weighs 77,000 pounds, and carries 196 passengers, with 44 seated and 152 standees. So as we are operating antique vehicles, occasionally things happen, and we do have a slight mechanical problem with our Brooklyn Rapid Transit car our Brooklyn and Queens car 1001. We're trying to rectify this situation, so we're going to take a 10 to 15 minute break. Our food vendors are still open, so now might be a good time to visit the food.
Good.
Operated by volunteers Robertum and James Landy and Matt Griffin, car 6688 was built in 1955 by the St. Louis Car Company, and it's typical for thousands of subway cars constructed during this era. Many of the subway cars remained in regular service until the first decade of the 21st century. Often seen in film, these vehicles were featured in Grand Central Terminal, the French Connection, Night Shift, and Wall Street. Our car 6688 is most famous for its appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, The Joker, and most recently the car appeared or will be appearing in season 2 of HBO's Russian Doll. Car 6688 is 51 feet long, weighs 877 pounds, or 39 tons, and seats 44 passengers.
That's new. I remember it was brand new. That's new. That's like yesterday. $6 to get through. I'm older than that.
One of our favorite parade cars is on display now, and is called a shunter. Trolleys were withdrawn from passenger service, and they were always converted into work cars. Nothing went unused by the trolley companies. Sometimes parts were salvaged from retired cars and used to keep other cars in operating condition. These types of locomotive shunters were hand-built, and this car was constructed by Montreal Tramways in 1913 on top of a truck from an old suburban trolley car. It was used to move unpowered vehicles and cars inside a repair shop. The shunter is operated by volunteer John Cox. Railways, the line car. Operated by volunteer Jimmy Boylan, line car 25 was built in 1923 by the Ottawa Car Company and operated on the Ottawa Electric Railways in Ontario, Canada. It can regularly be found in service on the Brantford Electric Railway as our volunteers maintain our own trolley wire. Line cars give workmen rooftop access to construct, adjust, and make repairs to the overhead wires. The platform can be raised to twice the height of the car and can be pivoted out into either side to work on adjacent track. The platform is also insulated, meaning repairs can go on even while the trolley wire is fully energized at 600 volts DC. Line car 25 is 30 feet long and weighs 23,000 pounds, or 11.5 tons. $709 remained in service until the last day of service on the North Shore line in 1963. Car 709 is 12 feet 6 inches long, weighs 105,000 pounds, and that's 52.5 tons, and it seats 52 passengers.
This is the one that's not running. No, the one in front of ours was it's probably left over from the Hurricane Sandy. That caused a lot of problems with everything, the water level.
Tell me about it.
trying to think. I might have ridden these at the
IRM.
yeah.
About 8 hours.
They have a lot of them.
Next up, and operated by volunteer Matt Pastor, Brooklyn Rapid Transit elevated car 1349 was built by the Cincinnati Car Company in 1905 as a convertible summer and winter car with glazed panels on the sides for use during cold winter months and metal grills on the sides for use during the hot months. It has reversible cross seats like many streetcars, rather than fixed seating like most rapid transit cars. Car 1349 was in regular service on the Myrtle Avenue elevated line in Brooklyn and Queens until 1958. Car 1349 is 49 feet 3 inches long, weighs 73,230 pounds, that's 36.5 tons, and seats 60 passengers. And applause is very nice, so obviously we have some rapid transit fans here.
And some operators too.
This one have solid poles on it. I wonder what that car thinks. Some of the New York ones did. I'm not sure.
And just a reminder that all of the cars that you're seeing today are labors of love from volunteers that have put in tens of thousands of hours and countless years restoring these trolley cars. On the Hudson Terminal, which was prior to the building of the World Trade Center, the car was the predecessor of the H&M Path series as displayed in our World Trade Center exhibit. The car ended service in 1968 and was converted into a work car until acquired by the Branford Electric Railway Association in 1979. Car 503 is 51 feet long, weighs 79,200 pounds or 39.5 tons, and seats 34 passengers.
Must have done a half a million miles.
Operated by volunteer Christopher Mitchell, car 302 is a sample of a railway post office car which was operated by the Union Street Railway of New Bedford, Massachusetts. It ran from the railway station in Fall River to the New Bedford post office, then on to Wareham Shopping at all intermediate post offices to pick up and deliver mail. These were staffed by highly trained railway postal workers who sorted mail en route to speed delivery. Trucks operating on and improved highways gradually replaced these RPO-type cars after World War I. Car 302 was built in 1907 by the J.M. Jones Sons Company of New York. The car was acquired by the museum in 1948, and an extensive restoration was completed 4 years ago. Car 302 is 31 feet long and weighs 31,450 pounds, or 15 3/4 tons.
Subway cars. I like to see the trolleys. Subway cars. I never liked those subway cars anyway. They're all a bunch of junk cars. They're before my time.
As we've seen today, trolleys like cars aren't perfect, and sometimes they do break down. They may go off the track, or they may have an accident. Unfortunately, when one disabled car blocks the track, every car behind it is also stuck. Removing the disabled cars quickly is vital to restoring service. When your car breaks down, you call AAA. When a trolley car in Providence, Rhode Island broke down, they would call car 1504. Operated by volunteer Ryan Lapadula, car 1504 was built in 1912 and was the Rhode Island Company's solution to this problem. It was stationed in downtown Providence during every rush hour, loaded with tools to re-rail a car and ready to tow any disabled vehicle. The car was used in service until Rhode Island Street Railways stopped running in 1948. Car 1504 is 37 feet long and weighs 45,000 pounds, and that's 22.5 tons.
They didn't care about, road.
Oftentimes, a street railway was required to pave the streets between the rails, plus a specified distance on each side of the outer rails. In the summer, streets frequently had to be sprinkled to keep dirt and dust from being blown about as cars passed by. Almost always, the street had to be cleared of snow just to keep the cars running, and it was also common to require snow removal between the track and the curb. Operated by volunteer Ken Rosen, car S36 was built in 1920 by the Russell Car and Sweeper Company as Eastern Massachusetts Street Railway car number 607. Inside are two motors, identical to the ones that moved the car, and they powered the two brooms to sweep the track. On each side of the car are plow blades, which can swing out to clear the area next to the car. In 1948, the car went to Toronto Transit Commission, where it operated as S36 until coming to the museum in 1973. Car S36 is 43 feet 6 inches long and weighs 59,000 pounds or 29.5 tons. There is no such thing as light work on a rail line. Crane cars are necessary for lifting rail and other heavy materials, setting poles, moving motors, and many other jobs. They are indispensable as a tool at every railway and every trolley museum. Operated by volunteer Peter Ezard, Montreal Tramways W3 was built in 1929 by the Differential Steel Car Company of Findlay, Ohio. It's quite a sophisticated machine with separate controls for swinging, raising, and extending its boom, and raising and lowering its hook. The car is capable of lifting a whole 5 tons. Car W3 weighs 82,000 pounds, and that's 41 tons. Car W3 and the operator Rob Paradis is actually showing us an example of how the trolley boom would swing to lift items such as rail ties, motors, rail, and other items that needed to be hoisted and hauled away. Operated by volunteer Ernie Darrow, the Atlas locomotive, also called a GE-23 tonner, was built in 1941 for use at the Reno, Nevada Army Airfield. The locomotive got its name after the Atlas terminal in Glendale, Queens, New York, when it was purchased by that company during the war. It ran until freight service ended there in 1982. Atlas was generously donated to the museum in 2013 by the co-president of the ATCO. This type of locomotive is also called a critter or yard goat and was designed to move rail cars over short distances through freight cars where track radius was tight. These locomotives ran at low speeds, typically not more than 20 miles an hour. This little engine has a lot of uses here at the Shoreline Trolley Museum, especially when cars need to be moved in areas where there's no overhead wire. It's powered by a 150 horsepower Cummins diesel with a GE, which turns a GE traction generator. And this concludes the grandstand part of our parade. All the trolley cars that you've seen are going to be now paraded back to their original location in the loop. The Trolley Museum is going to be open until 4:30 this afternoon. As soon as these cars are out of the way, trolley service will resume, including rides to Short Beach. The cars will be on display in the trolley loop until 4:30 this afternoon. We want to thank everyone for their attendance. Again, please make sure you visit our food vendors, our souvenir stands, and please, we're always looking for new volunteers. Stop at our information table or talk to anyone with a yellow lanyard. They'd be happy to help.